With all the hype surrounding Dragon Ball FighterZ following the recent rollback beta test and the high amount of praise the community has given it, it's no surprise that many are either looking into picking up DBFZ for the first time, or they're coming back after a lengthy break from the game.
This is a much different game than I played before, and that game was pretty fun, despite the online.
Unfortunately for many, with 3 character teams, a large roster, and a dizzying amount of RPS situations and new mechanics to memorize, it could seem like a daunting task. But to help you improve, I'm going to give you 9 tips and tricks to help you get better at Dragon Ball FighterZ. Before we jump into the video, if you find anything on this list useful, please be sure to hit the like button below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Tip number 1. If you're worried about finding a team to play or memorizing your team's combos, don't sweat it. Thankfully, half the roster shares one common combo, the bread and butter, otherwise known as the B&B. It's not very difficult to execute, and it can be done off of a majority of the hits you'll get in the game, and because it's shared by so many characters, you can always fall back to this combo if you can't remember your character's optimal combos. Tip number 2, and many of you probably already know this, hold a button during your opponent's combos to tech out of them. If the combo counter ever turns blue, that means it wasn't a true combo and you could have escaped. I see far too many people that don't know about this, or they try mashing a button and still don't tech. But all you need to do is make sure that you are holding any button during a combo, whether you think your opponent will drop it or not. Tip number 3. And this one ties in with the previous tip a bit, but you can tech in 4 different directions by holding the corresponding direction you want to tech in, both on the ground and in the air. In the air, most of the time, it's better to tech downwards so you land faster than your opponent, allowing you to punish more things that you normally wouldn't be able to. On the ground, down teching puts you in a delayed wake-up state. As long as you hold down, you could delay tech for as few as 1 frame, or as many as 30 frames, making it very hard for your opponent to meet you on reaction. The only time that you cannot choose a tech option is after a level 3, because those are a forced hard knockdown, meaning you'll rise from the ground at the same time every time. Tip number 4. Because of a change made during the 1.28 patch, you can now hold S to automatically perform super jumps without having to hold down first. There's many benefits to doing so that I'm not going to go into detail in this video about, but the short of it is super jumping allows you to float or fast fall, making it harder for your opponent to catch you in the neutral. One of the most useful spots in the game to utilize this is round start, especially against Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta because of the threat of his 5M. You could also use this to easily perform moon jumps in the neutral. Tip number 5. Please don't be afraid to use your defensive options just because they can be punished. Remember that Reflect, while a high risk option, is also a high reward option in that it returns both you and your opponent to the neutral, provided that your opponent doesn't use an anti-reflect string. It can also open up opportunities to punish your opponent for mindlessly dialing in their block strings instead of properly hit confirming. Combine Reflect with a raw tag, done by holding an assist button down, and you get a nearly unreactable get out jail free card. Guard Cancel, another defensive mechanic, is also your friend in the corner. Even though your opponent can block it for a hefty punish, the reward is that you tag out a character and reset back to the neutral, another high risk, high reward option. One of the biggest issues with Guard Cancel is you should never ever use the aerial version of it. It's completely useless. Tip number 6. Whether you have a 2L low or not, a simple but effective mix-up that almost every single character has in the corner is the Superdash mix-up. At any point in a block string in the corner, press Superdash plus an assist and you can either air dash to go high with a JL or JM, or you can fall and go low with a 2L or 2M if you have a 2L low. The timing to call your assist can be tricky to learn at first in order to make it a real block string though. While not the safest way to initiate a 50-50 because there's a risk of being anti-aired, it doesn't cost meter, and at point blank range, a super dash is 20 frames, making it highly unlikely your opponent will react and punish unless you're predictable with it. Tip number 7. If you find it hard to react to Dragon Rush, don't worry. Everybody, even the best players, get hit by it every once in a while. If you want to improve your reactions to it and other options you find annoying, training mode is your best friend. The easiest way to set this up is as follows. Step 1, head in the training mode and make sure the character you want to practice against is on the enemy team. Step 2, go into enemy settings and set Dragon Rush Cancel to on. Step 3. Head over to Training Dummy Recordings and set every slot from 50 to 1. This is just the probability that a certain recording will be played over others, so if you want to practice against a specific option more, like a command grab, set its corresponding slot to 2 or even 3. Step 4. Set the recording method to quick and record the first 5 slots as follows. Slot 1 will be a simple dash. Slot 2 will be dash up Dragon Rush, followed by a full screen dash. Slot 3 will be dash up 6M. Slot 4 will be dash up cross up JM. This one could be annoying to set up. And slot 5 will be dash up 2M. The remaining 3 slots can be used for character specific options like a command grab or an overhead. Just be sure that you start the recording by dashing. Finally, set the playback method to repeat randomly and automatic to play. Now all you gotta do is sit there and grind out those reactions. Tip number 8. Delay tech is absurd and you should be abusing it more. Don't be someone who always uptakes or backtakes into a safe jump on wake up, because delay teching allows you to completely ignore a safe jump altogether while forcing your opponent to guess on when you'll rise, or they'll have to spend resources like an assist to make sure they keep their turn. This opens up the option to perform an invincible reversal a safe jump would otherwise beat. And because it's variable up to 30 frames, with a rising animation that's difficult to react to properly every time, you could very often get away with simply mashing on wake up to steal a turn. Combine this with a 4-frame reversal and you have a reaction check that most people in the world will struggle to pass. With the right assists, your opponent can still meet you safely without guessing, but in the end, that's an assist they can't use to mix you up or otherwise extend their block strings with. And if your opponent likes to option select delay tech with backdash, you don't even gotta worry about their pressure as much anymore. Tip number 9. This is one of the most important tips on the list because it applies to every fighting game. Be sure to watch high-level players use characters that you also use or may be interested in. One of the quickest ways to improve is through emulating what you see professional players do. They know the ins and outs of those characters and the best way to utilize their tools. So you're bound to learn something cool and new about a character you play just from watching others play the game instead. There's plenty of channels out there dedicated to archiving high-level gameplay, but my 2 personal favorites are Bum163 and Zeus's. And there you have it. That's everything you need to know to get a head start when ROLLBACK officially drops for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you found any of the tips here useful, and also be sure to leave a comment down below if you have any extra info you'd like to share with others, or to just say that you liked the video. If you're interested in character-specific guides, let me know down below as well, and I'll look into it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.